Good evening. You are tuned in to AWANI Tonight with me, Cynthia Ng. The High Court today fixed December 2nd for former Prime Minister Datuk Sri Najib Tun Razak to answer all 25 charges in the 1MDB corruption case. Justice Datuk Colin Lawrence Sekera set 97 days to hear the defence's case, starting from December until November 7th next year.
Najib's defense team, led by Tan Sri Muhammad Shafi Abdullah, planned to call at least 11 witnesses, including Najib himself. Najib is facing 4 charges of using his position to obtain gratification totaling 2.3 billion ringgit in 1MDB funds at the M Islamic Bank Berhad branch on Jalan Raja Chulan, Bukit Selon. Najib, already serving a reduced sentence for a separate conviction, faces up to 20 years in prison and a fine of either 5 times the amount of the bribe or 10,000 ringgit, whichever is higher. For the 21 money laundering charges, Najib is accused of committing the offences at the same bank. If found guilty, he may face a maximum fine of 5 million ringgit and imprisonment of up to 5 years or both upon conviction.
The CEO of GISB Holdings, Datuk Nasrudin Muhammad Ali, has filed an application to challenge his arrest and ongoing detention on charges of being involved with an organised criminal group. Filed at the Johor Bahru High Court, the application aims to contest his arrest under the Security Offences Special Measures Act 2012 SOSMA as unlawful. Nasirudin's wife, Datin Azura Mad Yusof, also filed a similar application on Wednesday. The applicants named the Home Minister, the Inspector General of Police and the Malaysian government, among others, as respondents in the case. December 4th was set for the hearing date. On October 23rd, Nasirudin and Azura were charged at the Sessions Court with membership in an organised criminal group linked to GISB under Section 130V1 of the Penal Code, which carries a jail term of 5 to 20 years upon conviction. Meta has criticised Malaysia's plan to require social media platforms to apply for a regulatory licence by January. Meta's Director of Public Policy for Southeast Asia, Rafael Frankel, says the proposal lacked clear guidelines and gave social companies little time to comply.
During an interview with Reuters, he said the timeline to apply for a license was exceptionally accelerated and the obligations for social media firms under the plan remained unclear. He added that the firm has not yet decided if it plans to apply for the license ahead of the January 1st, 2025 deadline. On Tuesday, Communications Minister Fahmi Fadzil urged Meta to step up actions against cybercrime. Fahmi reprimanded the social media platforms for still failing to address online sexual criminal activities, including pedophilia and child grooming. In July, Fahmi said social media platforms and messaging services with more than 8 million users must obtain a license as part of efforts to curb financial scams, cyberbullying and sexual crimes online. The companies could face legal action if they fail to do so by the deadline.
The Human Resources Ministry, through Perkeso, will study a social security insurance scheme for Malaysians working in Singapore. Minister Stephen Sim agrees that some form of social security should be awarded to Malaysian diaspora in Singapore, especially for daily commuters.
Perkeso, he said, will study the viability and mechanisms, though admit it will be challenging as the workers' employment pass is provided by Singapore. He made the commitment at the sideline of the 28th ASEAN Labour Ministers meeting in Singapore, where Malaysia will raise topics including training, green jobs, social security and migrant workers. It is estimated that more than 1.18 million Malaysians currently work in Singapore, with roughly 300,000 to 400,000 commuting daily across the causeway.
Malaysia continues to face a growing issue with the uncontrolled stray cat and dog population, where current capture and kill practices have failed to address the problem. We speak with animal rights lawyer Rajesh Nagarajan for his insights on more effective and humane solutions.
There are approximately 6 million stray dogs in Malaysia and 5 million stray cats in Malaysia. Strays are a huge issue for this country. It is imperative that the country manage our strays properly. It is my opinion that currently strays are not being managed properly. The catching and killing strays is not a long-term solution. In fact, we've been doing it for so long, and there has been no reduction in the population of strays.
Rajesh says it is time for Malaysia to adopt the trap, neuter and release method, a proven approach in managing stray populations.
For example, if you look at Western countries, they have successfully managed their stray population. And the reason that they've done so is because they practice trap, neuter, and spay. So it's very simple. You trap the dog or cat, you neuter them or spay them, and then you release them. So what happens is that there is no vacuum in the population of the stray animal in that particular area. So other strays do not come in. And these strays, being strays, they have difficulties in finding food, medical treatment, etc. They don't live very long. So once all the dogs and cats in a certain area have been neutered, there will be no more dogs and cats coming in. So we can safely say that that particular area is now free from strays. And that is a humane way of doing it. You're not killing them in a brutal manner. And that is how strays ought to be managed in this country.
The Penang state government has introduced a trap, neuter and release program, while the Selangor government says it will review its approach in managing strays. Rajesh urged authorities in all states to follow suit.
Let's not forget that huge amounts of monies are being expended by state governments hiring these dog catchers to catch the dogs and also to kill the dogs. You know, they easily spend 50 ringgit to catch the dog, 100 ringgit to kill the dog. Now, why can't the same money be used to trap, neuter, and spay? So we don't need to look for additional resources, additional financial resources. The current financial resources that we have is more than adequate for us to start a comprehensive trap, neuter, and spay program in all the states in Malaysia.
AWANI International is your gateway to global news, insights and stories that matter. From breaking headlines to in-depth analysis, stay connected with the world right here where you won't miss a beat.
Rambut gugur lagi? Macam mana Gunakan Pantene Baharu dengan provitamin mikro yang meresap dan menguatkan rambut dari dalam. Rambut 10 kali lebih kuat terhadap rambut gugur. Pantene Baharu.
Aku dari keturunan dukun yang terhandal. Aku dukun yang tangkap hantu. Panggil saja Don Ari.
Penstreaman ataupun muat turun kandungan haram seperti penggunaan kotak TV Android adalah aktiviti yang sangat berisiko dan boleh mendedahkan anda kepada malware, virus, ransom dan juga penipuan seperti scam dan juga judi atas talian. Elakkan daripada stream atau download haram. Ingat, layan ori, jangan curi.
Just 1 week away to the U.S. elections, Vice President Kamala Harris has delivered her closing argument to voters at the Ellipse in Washington, D.C. It is the same site of former President Donald Trump's rally in 2021, which preceded riots at the Capitol on January 6th that year. Fei Kwan shares what's happening from the ground.
I'm here in Washington, D.C., just down the road from a campaign rally for Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris, where she's here to gather support as we approach Election Day. Now, she repeatedly warned of the consequences of a second term under Donald Trump, while pledging to support the working and middle class amid a cost of living crisis in America, among others. But with just 1 week to go, polls show that it's anyone's game and that it remains to be an extremely tight race. And so it remains to be seen whether Harris's pledge will pave her a path to the White House.
Accusing Trump of sowing division and fear, Harris called for Americans to turn the page on the Trump era by pledging to put country over party. The vice president, whose popularity ratings have plateaued in recent weeks, also promised to restore protections for abortion rights, provide tax cuts for the working class, and expand affordable housing. Her campaign estimates that more than 75,000 people were present to hear her final appeal. Following her speech at the Ellipse, Harris is expected to take the same message through the battleground states of Pennsylvania and Wisconsin in the campaign's final days. The European Union has announced new tariffs of up to 35% on electric vehicles imported from China, following an EU investigation that found Chinese state subsidies were undercutting European automakers. China has condemned the move and lodged a complaint with the World Trade Organization, WTO, marking a significant escalation in ongoing trade tensions.
The EU, after unsuccessful negotiations with Beijing, will impose tariffs of up to 35.3% on certain Chinese EVs. The duties will come on top of the current 10% on imports of electric vehicles from China. Foreign carmakers producing in China will also be affected. Tesla faces a 7.8% tariff. Chinese car giant Geely, one of the country's largest sellers of EVs, faces an extra duty of 18.8%. While state-owned SAIC Motor Enterprise will be hit with the highest at 35.3%. The tariffs will take effect Wednesday, lasting 5 years. The move has faced opposition from Germany and Hungary, which fear provoking Beijing and setting off a bitter trade war.
Tuberculosis has surpassed COVID-19 as the leading infectious disease killer in 2023, according to a new report by the World Health Organization. The report reveals a troubling rise in cases, with 8.2 million new TB diagnoses in 2023, up from 7.5 million from the previous year.
The figure marks the highest annual figure since global tracking began in 1995. According to the report, 26% of global cases were reported in India, followed by Indonesia at 10%, China and the Philippines at 6.8% each, and Pakistan at 6.3%. Together, these countries represent 56% of the global TB burden. Though TB is preventable and curable, the report highlights that funding remains critically low, especially in low and middle-income countries. While TB-related deaths slightly decreased from 1.32 million in 2022 to 1.25 million in 2023, the estimated number of individuals falling ill with TB rose to 10.8 million.
Taiwan has issued a warning as Super Typhoon Kongray approaches, expected to make landfall tomorrow. The powerful storm is set to bring heavy rain and strong winds across large parts of the island, raising the risk of landslides and prompting evacuations in several areas.
Packing gusts of nearly 300 km an hour has intensified and is expected to strengthen further as it approaches Taiwan. Up to 1.2 meters of rain is forecast in mountainous eastern regions, while destructive winds are likely along coastal areas. Classes and work have been suspended in Taitung County, where Kongray is set to make a direct hit. Dozens of ferries and flights were also cancelled on Wednesday as the island braces for impact. While Taiwan is used to tropical storms between July and October, it's unusual for such a powerful typhoon to strike this late in the year. Taiwan's weather agency says Kongray is the largest storm to hit the island since 1996, already surpassing the strength of Typhoon Gemi, which struck in July and claimed dozens of lives.
That wraps up the edition of our news this evening. AWANI International is now live on Astro AWANI's web portal. Astro AWANI's revamped English platform delivers in-depth global news and expert analysis to keep you informed on the critical events shaping our world, all in one place at international.astroawani.com. That's all for now. Thank you for watching. Good night.